At the end of World War I, the Treaty of Versailles severely limited Germany's ability to manufacture machines of war. But obviously, the Germans found ways around this by producing not warlike machinery that could in absolutely no way be used for war. One definitely not dangerous or warlike craft was the Ohika II. Although it was commissioned by a rich guy as a pleasure craft in 1926, by accident or design it ended up being the fastest in the world in its class at 34 knots. Some of the design features that allowed such a high speed were the tapering to a flat bottom towards the stern of the boat, so at speed most of the boat would be out of the water. This meant less bow splash, causing noise and visibility, which could attract the unwanted attention of Allied warships. Just 3 years later, Lürsen, the original builders of the Ohika, were given a contract by the Kriegsmarine. By this time the Germans didn't give two hoots about the Treaty of Versailles, to design an Ohika with a couple of torpedo tubes and a much faster top speed. Thus the S1 class of Schnellboot was born. The S100s were the largest class of fast attack boat built by Germany during the war, feared by Allied shipping, a true man-made shark. Built between 1940 and 1945, these boats were continuously upgraded and modified. Late war versions were 35 metres long and had a beam of a little over 5 metres. The Mercedes-Benz 501 engines used in these are a direct descendant of the engines used in the Hindenburg and Graf Zeppelin II airships, albeit much bigger. Early versions were fitted with the Daimler petrol 12 and 16 cylinder engines, with few changes from the airships. They soon found that they were underpowered and that having extremely flammable petrol on the boat was not a very good idea. So orders were placed with Mercedes-Benz to design a diesel engine with much more power. Mercedes promptly came up with the MB 501 engine, an absolute monster, a 20-cylinder, 134.4 litre, 2,000 horsepower behemoth of an engine. Each S100 had 3 of these beasts installed to power it to an incredible 50 knots top speed. I have to add a disclaimer here. In my research I found varying claims of top speed, anywhere from 43 knots to 50 knots. Either way, it was flipping fast. Faster than any combat craft at the time for its size and weight. The remains of 3 of these MB 501 engines can be found on Crackington Haven Beach in Cornwall. The engines belonged to Schnellboot S89, which was surrendered to the British after World War II. S89 slipped its tow on 5th of October 1946 and was wrecked upon the shore. Late war versions of the S100 were equipped with an armoured control platform to protect the crew from attacks, and 3 flak guns to fend off attacks from British motor gunboats and mortar torpedo boats. Post-war, due to their speed and stealth, MI6 used some of the now surrendered S100 fleet to drop off spies in Russia, real James Bond stuff. A few even had further upgraded engines which added a further 5 knots. Even now in the 21st century, the fastest combat ship can only manage 60 knots. Most of the more than 100 boats built were lost during the war, either through mine hits, battles with British ships or air attacks. The surviving boats were given to various countries after the war. The Soviet Union used several of them up until 1950. Other boats were given to Norway or Denmark. Some few boats were later returned to the German Bundesmarine, where they served as experimental ships. A sad footnote to the S100 story. S100s were responsible for one of the worst disasters of World War II. On April the 27th, 1944, US forces were practicing for D-Day off Slapton Sands near Dartmouth. 2 flotillas of S100s slipped in and sunk numerous Allied craft, resulting in the deaths of 629 of the 900 troops taking part that day. An absolute slaughter. American killed and missing was 4 times the actual losses on Utah Beach on D-Day, for which this exercise had been intended as a rehearsal. Of the 200 S100s built, the only survivor is S130, which currently resides in the Wheatcroft collection in England. Having been converted in the 1980s to a houseboat, only the hull and some interior fittings remained original. Mr. Wheatcroft is intending to return the boat to its original configuration. The last update I can find on this project was that the donor engines, armoured wheelhouse, cupola and propellers had been found. If you have any information on its progress, please leave it in the comments. Thank you. In YouTube, back in my shed again. As you can see, it's bloody cold in here, so I've got my heater on. Just my paint stripper. Anyway, here's where we are with the S100 build. 15 years ago I started building this and did it for about, I don't know, spent about 3 months on this one, getting it remote controlled up, all scratch built, stuff inside it, the things that go on. I've got opening torpedo doors on it, I'll show you them in a minute. Speed controller, Futaba controller, there's the 3 motors, 3 540s I think they were, I put in there. There weren't any kits around at the time to remote control this up, so I built everything scratch. Obviously the silicon tubing in place of universal joints for the prop shafts. Prop shafts, just a bit of brass tube with brass rod going down. I used some nylon grommets at the end of them with holes drilled in for the actual prop shafts to come out of. There's one there. Only 2 of the motors decided to come on when I brought it down here, so there's obviously some problem with the middle prop shaft on this. Anyway, I'll show you it going. Torpedo doors. Open, close, open, close, close, close. Anyway, I'll adjust that. It's a work in progress. Here we go, the motors. As you can see, centre one does not want to go. And reverse is a bit poo. But anyway, I'll get to that. Probably centre shaft just wants loosening up a bit. I can pull the shaft out and re-grease it and see what happens. But it's been sat in my loft for 15 years, so there was bound to be a few little problems with it. With the steering on this, obviously all scratch built from bits of brass tube and whatever I could find. Now there's 3 rudders on this at the back, 2 outer ones, small ones, and one in the centre, a big one. Now if you there we go, as you can see, bit of a job getting this to all turn at the same rate. I don't know if you can see under there, because they're all a different size and in a different position. But anyway, we managed it. Superstructure, there was quite a few bits broken on the superstructure on this. Just realised I've been holding the camera the wrong way around. I might start this again. There again I might not, because it's absolutely freezing in here. So if we go along the superstructure, as you can see there's a few broken bits, but I can repair them, like the stanchions on the side. I've already started making one out of a bit of copper wire. I don't know if you can see the little hole I've drilled in it for the cables to go through. That was done with a 1/2 mil jeweler's bit. So there's the armoured cupola. I mean, the Italeri kit is just outstanding. It comes with all the brass work on a big sheet, and you just cut it out and plonk it on. No rocket science required. So a couple of major jobs coming up. Obviously fix all the things that are broken on it from being stuck in the loft for 15 years, and then get it all painted up. And then after this is finished, we'll start moving on to the tanks. I mean, I will eventually bring these down and do an in-depth on the mods I've done to these, but in a similar vein, it was all done in my loft at the time. I've now got a shed to work in. Hopefully it'll be better, but not right now because it's -4. It really is a beast of a kit, and I couldn't recommend it more if anyone was, you know, a medium to expert builder. Not good for beginners at all, because you will struggle with it, especially the size. I'll probably run out of painting that, it's so huge. Here's all the rest of the bits left in the box that I've still got to put on. No Italeri, that's the kit. Okay, upside down, good lad, turn it the other way up. That's the one. But this was the first edition of it that came out. I believe there's been a lot of adjustments to this kit since it came out, and you can also buy a lot more add-on aftermarket parts. I mean, there's a full kit that you can buy to make this radio controlled, and you never know, if I get enough money together I might get the proper kit for it. But as it is, it'll go on a pond, it'll work. I've had it in my bath, I've soak tested it, and when I first did this, when I first built it, it almost zoomed out of the bath, so I know it's got some speed on it once it's all working. Anyway, that's it for today. I spent enough time editing the previous video, so enjoy. Got any comments? Just leave them down there. If you want to subscribe and like, fair enough, that's cool. If you don't. I'll probably make another video next week. Bye now.